Hello and welcome to the church at Hiraeth. It's an online ministry and both Debbie and I do attend real church on Sundays and during the week, of course, for various events that go on. And the church that we go to is at the bottom of the lane where we live, so walking distance, and it's called Bridge Church. And this week, just gone, I had a brief chat with the pastor, Steve Carpenter. After we had the wind issue with the banner blowing across Steve, we did take two and that worked out fine. Bridge Church Gornal. So, Bridge Church Gornal, someone's in the immediate area or even possibly the wider vicinity. Why should they come and visit us, Steve?
Yeah, we're a small friendly church. We've been on the Straight Estate from the 60s, and there's more people coming, and it's growing, and people are growing as well in their spiritual life. And for those who are searching for something more in life, it's a good place to be to find that out.
I thought the outtake of that video was really funny about the flag, so I said to Stuart, you have to include that. I'm sure everybody will enjoy it. We're going to sing this week, How Great Thou Art.
Still on the subject of real church, if you like using those terms there, we did some leaflet dropping during the week. The Bible does say, how will people know unless we tell them? And there are many ways that you can do that, and one of them is putting leaflets through the homes in the immediate area where we live, telling them that there's things going on at church, and they are very welcome indeed to join us. Debbie, you've got some nice looking leaflets in your hand there. What's that all about?
Very nice and colourful. They're from Bridge Church, and we're advertising a community quiz night and a new venture that we're doing, a Lego church. So we're just putting leaflets around the local doors to let people know what's happening.
That sounds great. And we've also got our little helper as well today.
It was really good doing those leaflets, and the rain held off for us as well, so that was even better. And we've even already had a positive response. We've got someone booked into Lego Church, and we've got a team booked on to the quiz, so all good so far. Running through the wood and forest gates I wander, and hear the birds sing sweetly in the trees. When I look down from lofty mountain grandeur and hear the brook and feel
reading this week comes from Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through to 12. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken.
I never know what Stuart's going to speak about, but after hearing the verse that he's chosen, I think I might have an idea. We'll see. Let's sing the final verse. And when I think that God is so much better, sent him to die, I scarce can take it in. That on the cross, my burden gladly bearing, he blame and died, to take away my sin. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
The verse in particular that Debbie was referring to, verse 12, the second part of it, a cord of 3 strands cannot be broken. We recently celebrated our 38th wedding anniversary, and I want to tell the story of how we met and also getting married in a very short period of time indeed. Going back to when we were both in our early 20s, and we met in a church. The church that Debbie and her family were going to at that particular time closed down, like many do. In fact, our previous church, where I was the pastor for 30 plus years, that closed down through circumstances beyond our control. So these things happen, as we've said before. The church will always continue, but the individual places of worship might not always be there. But they were in a position of looking for somewhere to go. And I can remember, and Debbie can remember, when they came to the place where I was at the time, and it was a Sunday morning, and that's how we met. And because we were both of a similar age and single, we got chatting and decided to, well, I asked Debbie if she'd like to go out to a concert. It was a gospel concert in Birmingham that I'd been given tickets for. So we went there. We went to McDonald's, and it was our first date, and we weren't going out with each other. And it was McDonald's in Dudley in the High Street, which no longer exists. And I knew as soon as I met Debbie that I was going to marry her. Now, you can't really say that to someone, can you, when you've only known them for a few days? I'm going to marry you. God's told me I'm going to marry you. Sounds very strange, doesn't it? But what happened is when I met Deb, I, at the time, was reading the Bible from start to finish systematically, and I was on the book of Ecclesiastes. And it is accredited to Solomon, and he's pretty much when Solomon is on a downer. And one of the key phrases, key words in the book of Ecclesiastes is meaningless, utterly meaningless. What's the point of life? What's the point of this? What's the point of that? He was looking at it from the angle of man who's not necessarily in that right place with God, if you like, where you see the positives and you see the big picture, but looking at it from a human angle. And although he does come from that perspective, he also brings in the godly stuff as well. I guess the struggles that many people have in their lives as Christians, as believers. And I was reading through Ecclesiastes, hardly the book that you'd turn to, utterly meaningless, hardly the book you'd turn to if you were looking for some scripture to come to mind to confirm the way maybe you were thinking, or to maybe add to what was perhaps going around in your mind in those early stages. Sometimes you can open the Bible and put your finger in and keep doing it blind until you come across something that you like and say, God spoke to me from the word. But that's a little bit cheating, isn't it? So I sat down to read my passage for the day, and it was Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and verses 9 to 12 really jumped out at me, and 12 in particular. A cord of 3 strands cannot be broken. And when I read those words, I really felt in my heart, in my spirit, that the cord of 3 strands that cannot be broken was me, Debbie, and Jesus. Cliff Richard, you, me, and Jesus. That's also interesting because Debbie is a big Cliff Richard fan. And as well as his secular stuff, he also is a committed Christian. He's done lots of Christian albums and written books as well. And that particular day, Debbie was a dental nurse at the time. And when she got home, she normally does a reading in the morning, but she did it in the evening after we'd been together. And she was thinking the same as me, that there was something in this relationship, although we'd only met for a number of days. She was thinking the same as me. And her reading, she did a book called Every Day with Jesus. So it's set for that particular day. So you can't turn to something else even if you wanted to. It's that day. And what was her reading for that particular day? Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 9 to 12. And again, that was something that really spoke into Debbie's heart. So at that stage, we'd only just met each other, but we knew, both of us individually, but we didn't know that the other one was feeling the same. But we both knew we would spend our lives together. How can you tell someone that you've just met that God's told me I'm going to marry you? Anyway, we went to McDonald's, and we weren't even a couple at that stage. We'd only just met each other. And I just really felt I need to just speak to Debbie, take this to the next level, if you like. So we were there and we were chatting over the milkshakes and the fries. And I said to her, I can't remember the exact words, so I'm paraphrasing. I said, would you like to go out with me? Would you start seeing me? And she said, yes. And I said, because it took me a long time to get that out, I said, well, while I'm at it, I thought, let's go for the jugular, so to speak. Let's go in at the deep end. And I said to her, will you marry me? I know that we've only just met, and I know it might sound strange, and you might be thinking, what on earth am I doing in this position? But I explained to her what had just happened, particularly with the scripture verse and so on and so forth. And it was then that she told me that she had had that similar experience with the same passage of scripture from Ecclesiastes. So there and then, having known each other for just an extremely short period of time, and we weren't even going out, I did it all in one go. Will you go out with me? Yes. Will you marry me? Yes. It all happened in an instant. Now that was in the autumn, the October, we started to then see each other. Christmas Eve, we got engaged. I drove to what was one of my favourite barbel fishing spots at the time, and that was on the River Severn, a place called Arley in Worcestershire, and I parked on the grass verge alongside the river, and I slipped the ring onto Debbie's finger, the engagement ring. I felt terrible. I felt really awful not emotionally or spiritually, but physically. And the reason why was next day, Christmas Day, I came out in spots all over my body. I had chicken pox. So that's why I wasn't feeling particularly good when I was by the side of the river. And we were married within 5 months. And that was a long time ago, 38 years plus to be precise. As I've said, we've already celebrated or just celebrated our 38th wedding anniversary. Now, would I recommend that as a blueprint to everyone? Would I say to folks, yes, if you meet someone, you know it's the right one, just get married. Now, here and now, if you can. Of course not, because our situation was unique. And that's the point that I want to make, really, that we are all individual before God. He does speak to us. He does have a plan for our lives. He has a plan to bless us, to prosper us, to bring us into good things, not to harm us, not to cause division or negativity in our lives. It's all good. It's all positive. But the plan for my life will be very different to the one that God has for yours, and likewise for every other person that we could involve in the equation. Everything is individual. All I know is that when I met Debbie, I knew as soon as I saw her that I was going to marry her and spend the rest of my life with her. And then I had that scripture. That was the real confirmation, the way that it came together. And fortunately, although it's not really fortunately, is it? That's just looking at it from a human angle. But fortunately for me, Debbie had gone through the same experience. As soon as she saw me, she knew that I was the one. And then she had the same passage of scripture as well. Quite a story there, isn't it? And the proof of the pudding is in the eating, as they say. And 38 years later, celebrate. I've used that word twice. Celebrate is an appropriate word to use. 38 years of married life, and all in the space of a whirlwind few months, from not even knowing each other to meeting and then being married. When God's in something, it works. Yes, I know that often in life, even as believers, things don't always go to plan, and we don't always know why, do we? But you can't be negative about things. You can't be skeptical about stuff, and you certainly can't be cynical either, can you? In a very simplistic, childlike way, that's how we're meant to trust God. We know that when God has a plan for our lives, it's a good plan. It's a positive plan. Have a good week. I will be back on Wednesday for our words of wisdom. Don't forget to check out our website, hiraeth.church. Have a great week yourself, and we'll see you soon. And maybe we might see you at Bridge Church.